Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning. It's good to have you today. We are here for another live session as we talk about purpose. We continue our series on purpose. And today we are talking about the leader of 2025, the traits of the purpose driven change maker. And you may see me looking down. I'm just looking for those who have joined. So we thank all of you who have taken the time to join this morning. And we look forward to have a beneficial discussion. I have chosen this topic, the characteristics of a purpose-driven leader, because it's very important that we understand and adjust to the time. Life is evolving and the world is getting to become very complex. Leadership is also evolving, and a lot of the direction in which we're going is going to be dependent on how well we know our purpose and would require us not to actually confuse our role with our purpose. And so I looked first of all at not confusing our role with our purpose. That was the first part of our series. And then we looked at what it means, what purpose really means. And then we also looked last week at the levels of assignment and how it aligns with your purpose, how your assignment aligns with your purpose. And so today we want to look at the lead of 2025 and what are the traits of purpose-driven leadership that will now become a game changer. Hello, Sam, Marie, it's nice to have you. And for the LinkedIn users, and I have some persons on YouTube that I want to highlight also. So good morning, everyone. Please remember that you can actually put your concerns, you can actually put your thoughts, you can add your thoughts, and you can talk. So we want to go now to looking at what it means. So I'm gonna change my screen just a little so you can see the screen. Yes, I want you to see the screen. I want you to be able to see your screen. On the screen, I say there are so many leaders in the world, and yet purpose-driven leadership is scarce. I talk about this and I keep resonating in your mind that your success, that your journey of purpose and growth starts with you. And I say, if not you, then who? So let's talk a little now about the purpose. What is, I want to summarize this and I want to move with that. Great to see you too, Coral and Curtis and everyone else. Thank you so much for joining. When you talk about your purpose, we say your purpose is your why and your role is your what. The purpose also involves your how. So your assignments can propel you as to the how, which digs you deeply into your purpose, but your purpose is your why. And so, on that premise, it is my point of view. I strongly believe that there is a God given purpose in all of us, and it is waiting to be released. Those of you who agree with that or feel that you may have a concern, just let me know, please. And for those who are just joining, I am recovering from the flu. And so, if you see me drinking my ginger tea, please don't be disturbed by it. It's just to keep me and my throat going. All right. I also believe that purpose is pre-designed, pre-approved, and pre-appointed by the Creator. And so your purpose, as I said in the first 2 or 3 sessions, your purpose is not a 9 to 5 proposition. It is an actually lifetime requirement. It is a contract between the earthly and the divine. And that contract gives God gives you the resources. When you are born, He allows you to be born to whom you're born to, in the era you're born, in the context and the environment, and He gives you a specific assignment, meaning the problem you were created to solve or why you exist. And so, as I said before, because the workplace is evolving and leadership and purpose is constant, you want to make sure that you understand it. And that's what we want to talk about today. Why the purpose driven leader is a game changer in 2025. So, if we talk about a perfect driven leader, what that person looks like, sounds like, and does, we want to understand that first of all, the purpose driven leader is guided by God to discover his or her true self, distinct gift, talents, and tasks. What do we mean? You must become very familiar with your unique gifts and your talents. And that's why in my practice, I make sure that persons do what is called a spiritual gifts test, and we move from that into your position in your family and how it argues for the things that you do in your life and how you start the preparation for your purpose. Because as we looked at the assignments last week, we talked about the preparation stage, and what happens at that stage is sustenance. We looked at the anointed stage, the appointed stage, and the full commission into your purpose. And we looked at what happened at each stage. For those who miss it, you can always go back to my YouTube channel or the program, the clips last week to dig deep into that. And so I guide persons right through that and take them into aligning their career and so on with their purpose. And we move right into how it can now be used to profit you financially, spiritually, and emotionally and physically, and most importantly, honor God. So you fulfill your divine life script and destiny, and you come full circle at the end of it all, where God says to you, well done, good and faithful servant. So we are moving in that direction, and that's the context in which I lay my foundation every week from a Christian leadership consultant point of view, life and career coach. And so that person, after you're guided by God to discover your true, distinct, unique gifts, talents, and your task, which is now your assignment or your role, which is, we say, is not static. Your role is changing as you move up through your levels of assignment. And you utilize these purposefully and deliberately, some call it intentionally, to lead yourself and to inspire others. And how do you do that? You draw from your comprehension of what is your divine purpose. And so you understand that your role is extrinsically motivated, but your purpose is intrinsic. So, whatever role you are given, you must be able to draw from your comprehension of your divine purpose to deliberately and purposefully lead yourself and inspire others, guided by your understanding of your true self, your distinct gifts, your talents, and your tasks. And if you are getting value from this, you can add your comments in the chat. You can ask any questions. You can make any point that you want to make. Those who have joined since we have started, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to have you. And as we say today, we are talking about the game changer as the purpose driven leader. We are looking at the complexity, the uncertainty, the unrest, and the toxicity in the world at this time. And we want to focus on our purpose. And my newsletter today is talking about why, as Christians, we should focus on our purpose and not our role. And so by midday, that will be dropped. All right. So purpose driven leaders are distinct. And I say these are the distinctive characteristics of a purpose driven leader. And a purpose driven leader is, in fact, very authentic and honors the servant leadership principle of responsive leadership, of moral leadership, of ethical leadership, of small things leadership, of compassionate leadership. We want to understand that when we talk about authentic leadership, it's all tied up in all of those things. So your leadership builds relationships instead of focus on transactions. And so, based on that, I am not a fan of transactional leadership because I feel that as a leader, you are automatically involved in doing transactions, but your transactions as a purpose driven leader must actually be the entrance into what we are calling now relational leadership that builds relation. So it starts as a transaction, but for the purpose driven leader, that is not the final outcome and that is not the intent going in. The introductory phrase is the transactional phrase. And so you're anchored by purpose instead of your goals, and you are characterized by your values and your principles because you do not promote a selfish agenda. It's not about you. We have established that it is something much bigger than you. It requires your voluntary, intentional, and very focused and determined action and surrender. And it also requires faith. So you're focused with leading with the heart instead of the ego. And so it is very heart centered and very difficult to find that type of leadership in these days because the greatest want of men are men that cannot be bought or sold, men who are true to duty as a needle to the pole, men who will stand for truth though the heavens fall, men who in their innermost souls are true and honest. That is lacking, and it is becoming more and more scarce. And that is why I say leaders are plentiful, they are in abundance, but purpose driven leaders are very scarce. Leadership in itself is scarce because many persons center their leadership on their roles and their authority and power and not on their purpose, which is more outward directed to serve people, to inspire people, to learn and grow. So you as a purpose driven leader must be inspiring, must be impacting, and you must be growing. And if that is not happening to you, you need to do your purpose alignment audit, which you will find on my profile, and we move it from there. And so you're concerned with cultivating long term relationships instead of the transactions. And you're very committed, wholly committed to demonstrate excellence through self discipline, not on imposing your power and authority. So you lead by example in a very balanced way because sometimes leading by example can, in fact, go wrong when you begin to focus on your charisma and your personality and your influence and how you get persons consensus and cohesiveness, and you can go become so imbalanced that you wield your power as a tool of oppression and manipulation, as a solid individual who believes that you're moral and ethical because you immerse yourself in your role and not in your purpose. Hi, LinkedIn user, I see you there. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. All right, so we want to look now at the 5 traits that you must have to embrace purpose-driven leadership in 2025. I want you to focus on that. The 5 traits that you must have, the 5 must have traits of a modern purpose-driven leader, the one that is leading today in 2025. Authenticity is important. Authenticity means that you know yourself and you are true to yourself, so you cannot be false to any man. Thanks for joining, Dr. Enobong. I see you. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If not, please bear with me. Very much so, Grace. When you lead with ego, even the team cannot help you achieve as a leader. Rather, they will keep a distance because they will feel. You see, disgruntlement is very important. That small word ego destroys this big thing that we call relationships. And you are very correct. These persons will comply and do the bare minimum because they feel disgruntled, unappreciated, they don't feel valued, they feel attacked rather than supported, and they feel used rather than appreciated. I thank you for that point, Grace. Hello, Nicholas. It's so good to have you. Thank you so much. All right, so we want to look at authenticity in its detail, where we are true to ourselves, so we can't be false to any man. That is one of my most important mantra, being true to yourself, so you can't be false to any man. And that way you're able to lead unapologetically as you are leading with integrity and purpose. So authentic leaders know who they are and whose they are, and they know what they stand for. If you have to keep telling people what you're standing for, you are not standing. Whenever you're standing, they will know. And I keep saying that, and that is something that all of what I'm telling you is actually in my book. It is in chapter 4, I think. So if you have to keep telling people what you stand for, you are not authentic. It is a blurred image that you have. Your actions are not corresponding with your words, and you are confusing people. And so, because anytime you're standing, they will know, and they will begin to tell people what you stand for. You must also understand why you lead, because the why is important. Why is the heartbeat of good and effective leadership. When you answer why, you change your ministry, you change the outcome, and you change lives. So when you focus on the why and not the what, then ego tends to be a little further from you than closer. All right. If you are authentic also, which is very much needed, you are transparent, ethical, and truthful, honest man. People can take your words. They can bank on your words, because you are, yes, Coral, you are guided by a greater force. You are determined to honor God and to please God. You do not fear man, and you do not crave men applause so much. You are not reliant on their opinion. When you are finished, even if persons do not accept what you're doing, when they come behind you, they find you faithful. So when they dig into it to find holes and gaps, they actually find you faithful, because you are actually aligning your values with your actions. Who you say you are is what you deliver, and you have always been transparent and ethical. And there are times too when you have to be vulnerable. You have to tell people that you really feel like giving up and throwing the towel. You feel unappreciated, and you feel that what you're doing is not enough, and so on. And you want to make sure that person understand that. So, because there is a time in a leadership life and in the journey of leadership when you are expected to motivate others, when you yourself need to be motivated, because you might be going through a crisis, you might have had a life-changing event, you might have suffered great loss, and all of those things compounded make you know that you needed to take a pause, but because of the nature of your job, you were unable to. And those are moments when your vulnerability will shine through, but it's because you also use it to lead with light. So you make people know that I need this time, I need this space, I need this type of understanding, I need this type of support. And so in that way, as an authentic leader, you know, foster trust and loyalty, and it makes it easier for you to inspire and influence others. Thank you, Karen and Professor Roxanne, for joining. I appreciate your support and you for taking the time so early in the morning. And so, how do you lead with authenticity? Because I want these sessions to be, you're able to take something away and act upon it. I want it to impact you. I want you to learn and grow as I am learning and growing. And I want you to inspire, because purpose-driven leadership must impact, it must inspire, and it must allow you to grow and others you're growing. It must inspire you, it must inspire others, it must impact you, it must impact others, and it must also allow you to grow and allow you to grow others. Those are the three foundations of purpose-driven leadership that I believe is extremely important. Inspiration takes many shapes, and one of these days we're going to talk about inspiration and what it really means, impact and what it really means, and growth, what it really means. in the realm of life and leadership, especially from a purpose driven point of view. All right. So, how to lead with authenticity is first of all knowing your core values. Your core values must guide your decisions. So, if you do not know where you're going, then any road will lead you there. And you will find that when you anybody can sway you because you're not sure what you stand for. Remember, we talked about authenticity as one of the top traits, and I've put it at the top traits that you need as a purpose-driven leader in 2025, a modern leader. Then if you don't know what you stand for, why you are leading, and why you exist, then you will find that you are on a treadmill, moving very fast, but not going anywhere, static, because you don't know your core values. And so you change all the time. So you become a time bomb. Nobody knows what to expect from you. There is nothing constant about you. You are as changeable as the water that has overflowed these banks. And so you become very dangerous. But when you know your core values, your decisions can guide you. So you must know your core values. The next thing that you must do is that you must be open about your challenges and the lessons you have learned. So you must show vulnerability, because we are only humans and we can only live one day at a time. And we can only live in the present because we can only live life as it is. Also, if we know if we know the future, then we have no future. We always have the present. So we want to look at the top trait being authenticity. The next thing that you want to do if you want to lead with authenticity is that you want to lead by examples. Your words must match your actions. And in fact, your actions must speak louder. Your actions must speak louder. And Jesus was a perfect example in John 10, verse 11. He led with authenticity. He embodied every value that he taught: truth, love, and sacrifice. He embodied that. Vulnerability doesn't mean that you are so humble that you leave yourself careless and that you allow a person to abuse your kindness, your compassion, your authority. No, vulnerability means that you share with people and you understand their needs by explaining that you have the like passions as they have, and you have gone through many of the things that they have gone through. This is how you were able to come out of it. These are the skills that you use. I am sharing with you so you can be built up, and I'm also sharing with you when I need support, because every one of us needs support regardless of your leadership. So I say every time that what you take out of vulnerability, how you grow and develop, must be aligned to your authentic self. So you cannot unknow what you know, and that is your experience. And your experience help to build your authenticity, and your vulnerability is exposed based on your experience. You do not know how strong you are until strong is the only thing you have. And none of us can learn to swim on land. We have to go into the water. So we see our experience and our vulnerability as that training ground to cement our authenticity. And so we know what we can do, we know what we have overcome. It gives us the ability to focus on what we know can overcome, because we know how God has led us in the past. And so we now have no fear for the future. We take our challenges in stride, and we know our limitations, we know our strengths and our weaknesses. We know when to call, who to call on for help, and we know when to call on for help, because we have learned through authenticity what it is that we are capable of. And we know that all things are possible with the right mindset, because we have come this far by faith, by focus, and things that were to take us out actually build us. And that is authentic leadership, your personal immersion and your personal swimming ground, and your lessons and your wins, your challenges, your setbacks, your limitations and your weaknesses. Those are that is the composite toolkit or package that will make you understand what it means to be authentic, because your experience is different from the next person's experience, and your trials are not the same as everybody's own, but it comes together to the purpose, because purpose must, it culminates in the same purpose, because when you are fulfilling your purpose, there are three foundations: you must inspire, you must impact, and you must grow. So, whatever your purpose leads you to, and whatever is the divine life script, whatever contract it is between you and the divine, you sometimes learn it by default, because some of us constantly apologize to our purpose. We get the nudgings and the promptings on our heart to do this. It presses on us. It is a persistent whisper. It is an annoying feeling that something is missing and that I need to do more. It is a reality that I am no longer connecting here. I am not getting the joy and the fulfillment. It's all of that. And there is a yearning. And as I said last week, that is why someone on their deathbed says, I always wanted to be a nurse, and I'm so sorry that I never became a nurse. And you hear that person says, if I had my life to live over, this is what I was drawn to do. This is what I felt drawn to do. There, nobody on their deathbed says that I am apologizing or I feel sorry that I did not turn up to work more or did I stay late at work. They are saying sorry that I did not do this, spend this time with my family. I never did this because these are the things I really wanted to do. And sometimes persons get a second chance. And so those who have a terminal illness and diagnosed and are told that they have 1 year to live, fulfill their purpose in that time. They throw everything to the wind and they take the biggest gamble of their life, and they believe and they end up so happy because the limitations are broken. And that is why I call my program the free model, because when you are led to your natural gifts and talents and how you can use those to profit you, whether to move up in your organization or to move into your brilliant business idea or to actually do what is it that brings you joy without worrying about the risk of losing a steady paycheck, then you are free in mind, you are free in body, you are free in spirit. Because as was said last week, the light meets you where you are and the universe corresponds with you. When you are given your purpose, we all are given a purpose when we are born. You were born, I knew you, God says, and I established what it is that you would do. And so you're specifically created for a specific assignment, which ends up being your purpose. And as you move to that purpose, God provides the resources for you before you need it. And so he leads you to the destiny helpers when you understand and know your purpose. And you must, as Karen says, believe and have the faith that all things will work together for your good. That is what we call leading authentically. And God did just that. The second trait, as we move into what it means to lead purposely in this modern 2025, and we see the context, we see the unrest, is resilience. And for me, resilience is not what you go through. No. Resilience is what you carry out. And so I speak about resilience in a different way than others. It is really what you carry out. It is being able to strive through your challenges and change, and being able to learn the lessons that you are able to tell someone. So it is in 2025, uncertainty is constant. And I want us to not to forget that. Uncertainty is constant. And so resilient leaders need to bounce back stronger from their failures and setbacks. So you must focus on what you are carrying out and not what you are going through. Focus on what you have carried out. You are still here and you can tell the tale. Whatever was intended to break you, stretch you, and what was intended to take you out, build you. That is what resilience really means. You are alive and standing outside of the challenge, outside of the setback, outside of the situation, outside of the crisis, outside of the life-changing event. You are standing outside looking in, and you have something in your hand that you can now use to accomplish your purpose. We are calling that the fiery trials. We are calling that refining to become gold. And so when you are resilient, you adapt quickly, you stay emotionally strong, and you maintain faith in your mission, in your purpose, in your why, constantly focusing on your why despite the obstacles that you will face, because purpose comes with pruning. Because as we said last week, and we looked at the level of assignment, you have to get to the appointed stage before your purpose becomes a fabric where you are now commissioned. And so you understand everything that happens. And so nothing defeats you, nothing makes you become disconnected. Everything is now connected to how you can now discern what is happening and what you need to do to get through. And so you sustain your momentum and inspire others in difficult times. That is what we call resilience. All right. And so, how do I now lead with resilience is the question I want to answer. And I want you to leave with an answer. So, the first thing you want to ask, if I am to have the trait of authenticity, how do I lead with authenticity? So I gave you that first question. I want you to write it down and I want you to answer it in your own context and situation. The second one is, how do I lead with resilience? You're going to ask yourself that question as you focus on your direction. So you want to develop a growth mindset. As I said before, you want to see failures as a learning opportunity and not as a setback. You want to focus on the why and not the what. That is a growth mindset. Focusing, thank you for joining, and I see you on the why and not the what. Whenever, thank you, Lois, for joining, and also Joan, and also Lisa. Thank you so much. And Charito, I see you. I see you. Thank you for taking the time. So you want to also build your strong emotional intelligence. What does that mean? You want to know yourself, become self-aware, self-compassionate. You want to laugh at yourself and with yourself. You want to nurture yourself. You want to appreciate yourself. You want to speak life over your situation and yourself. You want to declare success before it happens. That is what I mean by building strong emotional intelligence. You want to do all of that so you are able to manage stress and pressure, because leadership is hardship, and purpose driven leadership hedges you in. Your purpose has to be established. You can't ignore your purpose and think you will get away. You will always have that gnawing whisper in you saying, you have not done what you're supposed to be doing. You need to do, there's something more that you need to do. You will always get awake at night feeling this urge and feeling guilty, not knowing what crime you have committed. That is the nudging of your purpose. That is the promptings that God is putting on your heart, that you must do what you are created to do. And the next thing that you do if you want to lead with resilience is that you stay grounded in your faith. Because you know something, faith, without faith, it is impossible to please Him. Without faith, it is impossible to grow. It is impossible to inspire. It is impossible to impact yourself and others. If you don't believe in yourself, have no faith in yourself, then others really and truly can't have any faith in you. And if you don't believe in your purpose, if you don't know it, if you don't ask God to show you, and if you don't ground it in faith, then you have wasted your existence, because you are here to serve others and not yourself, and to honor God and not yourself. And so that's why self absorption and self love is not something that is promoted in purpose driven leadership. Self care is, because when you care yourself, you have a balanced picture of loving yourself because God loved you and gave His life for you, of taking care of yourself because you are an honorable vessel created and exists for an established divine purpose, and you are not absorbed with yourself, your ego, and your what, you are focused on why. And so you are able to ground yourself in faith because you know whose you are and your purpose, your plan, and what your assignments are and what they will lead to. And you're able to navigate your uncertainty with confidence. Because as I said before, if you know the future, then it becomes the present. And so Paul was a perfect example of that. He was persecuting persons because he was fulfilling his assignment and his role. He was taken up in doing what is right and getting that great evaluation from his superiors and following procedure to the T. And when he recognized that that was not so and took up his purpose, he faced many trials, but he remained steadfast in his mission. And so at the end, he was able to give so many testimonies and write so many things that encourages us. All right. So we want to also look at trait number 3 now, which is vision. You have to look beyond the present to shape the future. And so you're not going to just react. You're going to change and create change and maintain and sustain change. You're gonna add value. You're not gonna strike the iron when it is hot. You're gonna strike it before. And so what we are really saying is that you see the bigger picture, you anticipate trends, and you inspire others towards a shared mission because God has given you a sound mind and He knows the plans He has for you to prosper you. And your gifts and your talents must be used to profit you. And so you have that vision where you see beyond the present and you are shaping the future. You have clarity and direction when you're purpose driven, especially in uncertain times. And you are not swayed by every wind of doctrine. You focus on the fact and on the leadings that you have, the convictions, which we call your core values, and you maintain them because they serve your purpose. And when you have done all of that comparison, you find that the alternative is not a choice at all. Believe, trust, and faith. Very important, John. Thank you so much. We are here to be of service, very much so. And we are equipped with the tools within us to serve. As we say, when God made us, He gave us everything that we needed. For those who joined late, we have established that when God makes us, He gives us everything that we need. All right. So you must have that third trait, which is vision. So I say no. The first one is authenticity. The second one is resilience. And the third one is vision. All right. So when you know yourself, your why you're leading and your what, meaning how your roles intersect with your purpose and your levels of assignment, then you now are able to remain resilient because you will carry out of every situation, every win, every challenge, every setback, every limitation, every achievement, every success, something to take you to your next level. That answers the other why, the greater why, because as you move up into your levels of assignment, your why becomes more persistent and it becomes clearer. And so the vision that we are talking about is that you now create the opportunities for your why. So new opportunities unfold every time new wins come onto the horizon. And new doors are always open because that is the vision. All right. So, how do I lead with vision? We want to answer that question. How do I lead with vision? That's the question I want you to ask yourself. So, we have asked ourselves, how do I lead with authenticity? We have asked ourselves, how do I lead with resilience? Now, you want to answer how you lead with vision. So, you want to regularly seek wisdom and insight to understand future opportunities. So you understand that if you lack this wisdom, you want to ask from God. And when you get that insight, when you get that understanding of your future opportunities, there is a flow when you're walking in that purpose. Very much so. There is a flow. Thank you, Karen. There is that flow. That is the natural flow. What do I mean? Doors are open for you without you having to push them. And if you have to push a door, you are led to the right door. So you push and not pull. If you have to pull, then something is wrong. When your doors are open, you simply push and go in. And sometimes the door is open, you just walk in because God provides the resources, but He's not giving it to you until you're ready, until you're clear, until you understand yourself and know yourself and your why, until your clarity is right up there. So you are now ready to meet the light, and the light meets you where you are. You are now ready to honor your contract with the divine and the earthly. You are now stepping and pressing into your purpose. You are no longer distracted. You have passed through the preparation stage. You have passed through the sustenance. You have passed through the anointed stage. You have passed through the appointed stage. You are now commissioned. And so you answer the call. You answer the call because your inner wisdom lights you up. Very much so, Joan. Thank you so much. You communicate clearly your vision and you are passionate about what you are required to do. Very much so. There is nothing you can't find in the Bible. Very much so, Mary. Thank you for joining. And then you take the bold steps to innovate and challenge the status quo. I said last week that there are some persons who they said if somebody had told me that I would have been in charge of 10 businesses and I would have employed so many persons, change their lives, change their outcome, I would laugh at them. Somebody said to you, would have said to you, if somebody told me years ago that I would have been a missionary, a medical missionary, I would have laughed at them. But here I am, and it is the best choice I have made. I feel so fulfilled. I feel so free. I feel so happy. And that I gave the example of my client who spent all her life building a career in business. She was a business person. A life-changing event made her sit down and re-examine her priorities, as it always does when we are apologizing to our purpose. And she said, at 55, she said, I always wanted to be a nurse. And at 63, she is in fact a nurse now. After she did her program with me, she came in with the life-changing event. She was referred. We went through the process. She did her 3-month program. And believe me, she's a nurse practicing at 63, fulfilled and happy, and has accomplished much more in that time than she accomplished in 25 years in her profession, in which she did very well. She just felt that I have had enough. Something happened that is really client privilege, that she said, I have enough. If I die, I die. But I am going to be stepping away from everything. And when she sat down, she re-examined, she didn't know what would be the next step. We got through and dig down into her purpose alignment. We did all of what she's doing. We did her spiritual gifts, and she realized that her top gifts was mercy, exhortation, care, and so on. And she said, fits so well with what I want to do. She discovered that the position in her home made her always have to be caring for younger siblings. She realized that she found delight when persons were happy and so on. And she said, I always wanted to be a nurse, but because of the overwhelming expectations of persons in my family that were business oriented, I did business and I never loved it. I did well at it, but I didn't love it. And she's a nurse. And so if we are to take the bold steps to innovate and challenge the status quo, it means sometimes we have to step away from what we feel to be normal, the comfort illusion and the productivity illusion, and really do the joyful work, the one that fulfills us and profits us holistically. Nehemiah is a very clear example of someone that had vision. He had the vision to mobilize and to rebuild Jerusalem, and he mobilized people to action easily. And that is why sometimes we have challenges, because we it opens doors. It builds us and prepares us for the doors that are going to be opened. And I know that from experience. I had a life-changing experience myself that took me to that point. So I understand it clearly. So we want to look at the next trait. We want to look at the next trait as we move. All right, so we want to look at the next trait. So as we go to the next trait, and the next trait would be, just give me a moment. I want to stop here for the time being. I want to stop here for the time being. All right, so we want to go to the next trait, and the next trait is actually, I'm just correcting something here. Just give me a minute. The next trait is empathy. And that empathy means that we understand and connect with people. So leadership is about people, not just performance. And so we listen actively, we understand team members' challenges, and we foster inclusive environments. It also means that we build strong relationships, and we are loyal, and we allow others to also be loyal and engage and collaborate well with others. How do I lead with empathy? I understand before being understood. And so I actively listen to people, what is said and what is not said. I show up for people, and I show genuine care for your team's well being. You understand what they're going through, and you make allowances for them to get the support that they need, even if it can't be from you, because you're not equipped to do and know everything. And you balance the expectations with grace and mercy. So you lead with compassion. And God did the same thing. He showed deep empathy as he cared for the needs of others. We want to go now to the fifth trait, which is the last trait. And we are talking about the last trait being courage. You have to be bold as a purpose-driven leader. You have to make purpose-driven decisions, decisions that serve the whole and not just some persons. So that trait allows you to stand firm in your beliefs. It allows you to take risks, and to lead change even when it is very uncomfortable. It also allows you to challenge outdated norms and champion transformation. And so you're about what is working for people. What is it that they need now? And how their lives can change and be better. How you can add value to their lives by creating those principles and guidelines and those rules and policies and norms that serve their best interests and not just the organization. You want to fuel innovation and accept creativity, and you want to listen to, give everybody an input. You want to be ethical and fair and just. And you want to give people the ability and the opportunity to speak up for what is right as you do the same. And so how do you lead with courage? You make decisions based on faith, not fear, based on principle and not favoritism, based on facts and not your ego. And you embrace calculated risk to drive positive change, and you stand for integrity even when it is unpopular. So you seek to do what is right and not what is popular. And Esther was one of those who took a bold stand to save her people, despite the personal risk to her. And we want to understand that to lead with authenticity, resilience, and vision in a rapidly changing world means that you stay true to your purpose and your values, even when pressured to conform. You're building a strength through faith and a growth mindset because every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow, and you look beyond immediate problems and inspire others with a clear, compelling future because you must be authentic, resilient, you must have a vision, you must be empathic, and you must be courageous. So, the mindset shift that separates good leaders from transformational leaders is that good leaders manage teams and deliver results. Transformational leaders inspire movements and shape the future. And the mindset shift from leading for success to leading for significance carries you to the point where you focus on legacy, impact, and long-term influence rather than performance and efficiency. So the key takeaway I want you to move from here is that if you want to be a leader who leaves a lasting impact, stop focusing only on your career success or your role and start building people, driving change, and creating a ripple effect of purpose driven leadership. And so I hope we have learned something today. Creativity is always great. Thank you. All right. If you want to get your free health report, I see Sam has put a link in the chat. Please utilize that. And I want to thank every person that took the time out to listen today. Of course, I hope you benefited from this session. If you want to dig a little deeper, if you want to align your career and your purpose and your life, I am here for you. You can send me a DM or you can schedule a call. You can also do your diviner, your purpose alignment. That is, you see that link, it's right underneath my profile. Should you want to do my Profiting from Purpose program, you can also, in your free session, move into that. I also have a workshop coming up for an hour. It will be in February, I think it's the 27th. I have to make sure that I take a look at that, where we're going to look at how we can align our spiritual gifts with our career and purpose and profit from it. It's just a webinar. We want to make it interactive. We want to make sure that at that workshop you identify those things and you put all of that together so you can have some peace and some balance, some clarity and confidence for 2025 in what is now becoming a very uncertain landscape. You want to be free to do what you were created to do using your natural skills, and you want to know how to profit from that. You can it all either leads you into staying where you are and making that difference, or moving into another place that God really has prepared, but you have not paid enough attention to. It requires you to stop apologizing to your purpose and knowing and living and pressing into your purpose. And it requires you to have faith and surrender instead of having the fear that you will not be worthy or that what you really deserve or were created to do, the problem you were created to solve. You don't want to leave that steady security, and you feel that doing more and learning a new course, taking a new hustle, and also doing so many other things will answer the longing and the yearning that is persistent. No, it is finding your purpose that will free you and pressing into your purpose. God has already made provision when you surrender to your purpose. And if you don't, your purpose will eventually find you. Sometimes it is too late. and you live a life of regret and you die wishing that you had answered that call. Being in that flow is effortlessly because readiness and preparation is already set. Yes, we evolve, and that evolution is an ultimate gift. Thank you so much for joining, everyone, and see you next week when we continue the series on understanding and digging into purpose, uncovering purpose, what it really means and what it is about. All right, we want you to also remember to subscribe to my newsletter. We want to talk today about it will be coming out at around 12. We talk about why it is important for us to not confuse purpose and our role in 2025. And I'm speaking, of course, to Christian leaders and career professionals. And also, follow me on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe, and also on my blog. Remember that you are worthy. So today I want you to take a breath. I want you to pause or rest when you need to. I want you to support someone today. And I want you to make sure that you pass on a good word because the atmosphere is very tense for many persons because of the uncertainty of their lives. All right. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday also, where I co host with Tanik Easy. We have something lined up for you. Thank you so much. All right. We want to thank you, Karen, Coral, Joan, Amobi, Tanik, Curtis, Sam, Linky User. I want to also thank you, Mary. I want to thank you. I don't want to miss anyone. I want to thank you, Coral. I want to thank you. I think I saw Zion there too. I want to thank you, Anne. I want to thank you, Cherito Lowe's. I want to thank you, Lisa Grace. I want to thank you. I'm trying to find some other persons, Dr. Anubong. Thank you so much. I want to also thank you, Professor Roxanne. I see you there. Nicholas, thank you. I think I said Grace already. And I want to thank you, Alison. I want to thank you, Marie. Thank you for taking the time. And all those who are listening on my YouTube channel, thank you so much. Have a very great day. And we are out of here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.